Hello. Are you all doing marvelously well? It's always interesting because there's this delay of when I start talking and then when everybody responds. So I never know whether you actually can see me. Are you there? Can you see me? Hello. I like this conversation, this topic. This morning I was chatting, texting. Hello, everybody, with Matt. And so, he was suggesting titles, and I like the one what he suggested. This one, the home studio versus professional recording studio, whatever you want to call it, traditional studio. It's an amazing topic. An amazing topic. So we can talk about all of the different things that you can use in your home studio. I think the reality is like I have 50-50. I have half of everything, don't I? Look at me. I've got this insane amount of equipment. So it's always funny when people say, point out the fact that, Warren, you talk about home studio. We're like, well, this is essentially a home studio. It's my personal studio. And I have all of this lovely equipment, some vintage, some new, some borrowed, some blue. No, just a bit of everything. But my drum room is like the size of a standard bedroom. It's tiny. It's like a little, and yet I make these massive sounding records with drums in a little tiny room. So it's kind of interesting, isn't it? So you can hear me okay? Oh, you just watched the Tommy Lee studio vid? Yeah, video and audio are fine. Thank you, Tony. You can see me in Pennsylvania. Claudius from Magdalene Islands. Where is Magdalene Islands? Good evening from the Netherlands. Evening, morning, everyone. In the Mix. Our good friend Michael over at In the Mix just said hello. Go and check out his channel. Even if you don't use FL Studio, it doesn't matter. Go and check out his channel. It's absolutely wonderful. We're about to do a really, really good thing with him. Why don't we talk about that? Okay, so now that we've got a few hundred of you online, I'm going to go and look over here to ascertain that. But while we have a few hundred of you online, I want to let you know that tomorrow we are releasing a set of multi-tracks recorded by Michael, and they are his artist. He's phenomenal. He's the artist, sorry. And we're going to do a mix competition. And there's 3 incredible prizes. He is going to go through all of the mixes very kindly and come up with the top 10. I think he's going to be absolutely terrified because there's going to be hundreds and hundreds of mixes. And the top 10, and there are 3 incredible prizes. Each one is a full recording package. We're talking headphones, DAW, microphones. Lewitt have given us a 940 LCT for prize number 1. That's a 1500 tube and FET mic. They just confirmed this morning. That is for the top prize. That is amazing. And this is going to have a start and finish date. So there's going to be an actual finish date. So you know when you're going to be notified and win this. So pretty amazing, because people ask us all the time, about, because it's tough when you do mixing competitions. I've done 2. They are exhausting, and I get thousands and thousands of entries. So hundreds and hundreds of entries. It might be 1,000, Michael. You don't know what you're in for. But anyway, that's coming up tomorrow. So stay tuned tomorrow. Okay. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, go and like his channel. Go and give him tons of support. He's been amazingly supportive of us. My theory about the Scottish are the smartest people. Well, he's Scottish. There's 163 of you watching, 205 and 35 likes. Would you mind doing me a favor before I start waffling on even more? Would you like and share? That would be amazing. So who we got online? No, the mix competition is for everybody. I'm good, Tullis Country Rock. Fantastic. Michael Hordowich is online. Hello there in China. Brian, you're in China. Wow. Yes, Tim, I love my Lewitts too. Like and share, please. Alexi, how are you? In Argentina, fantastic. Somebody says, why am I live streaming when there's a World Cup semi-final? Because even though we all love football, a lot of us on here love football, this is my job. Part of my life, part of what I do is to give back to everybody every day. We do a video 5 times a week. We do 2 live streams a week. And this is all about connecting. Hello there in Oxford. Hello in Montreal. Hello in Virginia. Hello in France. Thank you for liking and sharing. My volume is weak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Try this. Is that better? Is that better? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you hearing me? Is it actually coming through this? Did you double check? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Is that better? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? How is... Somebody else said the volume was okay, so is it good? It's the same. Volume is fine. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, so let's talk about studios. Look, so as I was saying earlier, I have this studio. And so it's kind of an interesting situation because I've got an SSL here. I've got Pultex. I've got all of this beautiful equipment. I've got amazing microphones. I've got another little console down there that I record drums through, and I've got Audient equipment that I also use. So I move between everything. I mix in the box, and I also, not only do I also mix in the box, I also mix hybrid. So we do both. We're about to do full-blown mixing in the box videos coming up. We've got a lot of really exciting stuff coming up. Thank you, Frankie. I'm Frame Junkie. I'm glad it works. So I feel like I can really kind of authoritatively talk about this because sometimes I make records on my laptop, you know, where I'm mixing and editing and doing everything that way, and other times I'm in Sunset Sound or Blackbird, where we were, you know, a week and a half ago. So we're moving in these different rooms. Somebody again is saying it's, some people saying it's low, some people saying it's good. Try this. I mean, I'm really going for it now. How's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay. That's the last time I can adjust it, or else we'll have the whole conversation will be me adjusting the volume. Sounds good, no problem. Okay. Music before soccer, people say. Yes. Thank you. I'm glad you like the studio. So, when did I last line up the 24 track? Last time I used it. So it really just the volume is more than fine. So maybe people just have their volumes turned down if it's loud enough for some people and not loud enough for others. Okay. It's just relatively speaking with other stuff. Volume is fine, sound is good now, it's perfect, sound is good. Maybe it's mic technique. I mean, I'm not. Please some auto-tune. Yeah, I should probably put that on. How about that? Wait there. I can't find auto-tune on here. I actually don't know whether I have it on. I haven't got it on this. There you go. I mean, we do use it, but it's not actually on this. It's not in Pro Tools 12. We don't have a copy of it in Pro Tools 12. There you go. So when people ask me about whether you use auto-tune, well, not when we're working on this. Okay, sound is good. Everybody's saying it's good, all fine. Don't adjust anymore, it's loud here. Only half my apogee due to my foot. Okay, good. Low pass. You want me to low pass? No clipping, sounds fine. Mix compressor, expecting loud master and reasonable mix levels. All right, so look, let's get into it. If you've got any questions off topic, please feel free to hit the buy Warren and his team lunch button, which is the $ down there, and you can buy us some lunch. That would be most appreciated. Yeah, so some people are saying it's really loud. So okay, so maybe those that don't think it's really loud need to just turn up a little bit. Yeah, lots of people saying it's really loud. Hello in Greece. Hello in Mission Vallejo. Okay, great. Crystal clear, people say. Thank you, Michael. Sounds good to me, Ryan. Okay, so let's get back to the point. Okay, so this is the reality now. Is what I found is that, and I'm sure a lot of you found this, and a lot of my friends that work, professionals, find this, that we, outside of recording drums, we spend most of our life on a mic pre and a compressor and a microphone. So, Thank you, Sebastian. Exactly. Sometimes it's more important just to have the conversation than it is to make everything absolutely perfect. We've had a lot of these conversations with people trolling us. Not that many people troll, but the few people that aren't into this wonderful sense of community that you all are will troll and say, hey, the audio wasn't very good in this interview. And it's like, yes, I agree. Sometimes that happens. But I think I agree. The information is more important than anything else. But the vocal chain was an LCT 940 clay. An LCT 940 set 100% to tube, going through a BAE 1028. Going into a 160 VU and into an 1176. The 160 VU is set at 3-1, and the 1176 is only catching peaks at 20, at limited at 20-1. So, but just catching the occasional peaks. So that is the vocal chain. Lewitt LCT 940 going into a BAE 1028, going into a 165 actually. VU going into an 1176. That was the vocal chain on that song. But thanks for asking. If it's loud, turn your speakers down. If it's quiet, turn your speakers up. Thank you. Okay, so let's get back to the point. Now, so what I'm finding is increasingly is that when you're moving fast with artists, and budgets have shrunk now, so you don't have a day to get a guitar sound and do one guitar overdub. We're not going into studios with 10 songs that have already been done pre-production and have been demoed to pieces, and then spend 6 weeks recording them and spending 6 weeks just getting guitar tones or bass tones. We're moving very, very quickly. So why is that? Well, the reason why I came up with the idea of the 1173, which I'm sure Matt will put a link to. The reason why I came up with that idea is I wanted to have something that I use every day. And that is typically, as you just found out there, a combination of an 1176 and some Neve kind of mic pre. Usually a 1073. A 1028 and a 1073, for instance, are basically the same mic pre, but they have different EQ points. So the whole idea of us doing that 1173, the whole idea of there, and look, Matt just put up a link to it. The whole idea of us doing that 1173 was so that we could have a combination of a 1073 style mic pre with an 1176 style compressor, my two favorite things. And most people I know's two favorite things. A lot of us love API, love 312s and 212s as well. But the reason why we went with that is because I realized that after recording drums, which in my studio is just a kick, a snare, hi-hat, 2 overheads, and 2 toms, it's only 7 mics. After recording drums with 7 mics, so I could use an 8-input I/O, 99%, not everything, but 99% of what I was doing after that was just one input. So I thought to myself, why not just make one really nice, colorful box that had a 1073 style compressor, a mic pre with an 1176 style compressor. And that is where the 1173 was born. The idea of doing that is just simply about getting good quality results with good mic pre. I don't care if it's got a little distortion on it. I kind of like that. I like overloading my mic pre a bit. As Joe Barresi said when I interviewed him, the secret is with a Neve style mic pre is to go 1 click into distortion, then bring it back 1. So audible distortion. It's still slightly distorting, but it's barely audible. It's just giving you that rah that you love. That's why we love it. So anything in that Neve, thank you, Goitja. So basically, look, and so it's $1,200, I believe, and there's the link there. You can click on it. In fact, I just clicked on it. I'm clicking on the link, which he put up, and I'm sure he can put it up again. There it is. Yeah, it's $1,200 plus free shipping, and you can also buy it interest-free in 18 months. So it's pretty darn good. A lot of people love it. I feel very happy to stand behind it. We did a lot of testing on it. It's got a VU meter on it, and I really, really like it. But regardless of me telling you about a product that I believe in and endorse and was involved in, regardless of that, what I love about this is just that kind of idea. It's just this idea that that you can only need one decent mic pre and compressor. And even then, if you can't afford this nice piece of equipment, that's absolutely fine. I totally understand. You can still just use your I/O, and there is all kinds of plug-in manufacturers from the top, you know, like Waves doing J37s, you know, with the tape emulation. Stephen Slate has some, IK Multimedia, of course our friends at Mac DSP. All of these different companies have this incredible amount of really, really cool things that you can do. They are really, really wonderful. So you can just use your I/O. If you can't afford this, that's fine. Totally understand. But we're in this world now with a home studio that even if you've got a little tiny audience like ID14, which is out of shot, see if I can get it in shot for you. If I pull this, it'll probably unplug something. Yeah, okay, they don't want me to touch it. Okay, but sitting down here is an Audient ID14. And that's what this is going through. That is what we are using. When, you know what, if, Optilang, I mean, if I had to do a live, just so you know, if it's my duty to do a live stream on a day that England or Poland or any of the teams that, Ireland who aren't in it, obviously another, you know, I have Irish family and English family and Scottish family, and Dutch family. My mum's mum's side was Dutch. You know, if any of the teams that we support, and we're blessed, and we live in America, so we obviously support that. It's really good being multicultural and coming from loads of different countries. It's really wonderful. Mexico, we have two guys here of Mexican heritage that were really excited, especially Eric, about Mexico's progress. If that comes up in the World Cup and we have to do a live stream, we do the live stream. It's not that I don't care, as you put it. I do care. If it, this is most important thing. What we do here at Produce Like a Pro is more important than any sport. I love sports and it's fun, but we're here to serve everybody and to give information. So the I/O, if you've got a little Audient ID14, and if you've got those ID14s or something similar to that, it doesn't have to be that, it's just what we choose. We like the mic pre's. We like the way they sound. We make records on using those. If that's what you've got and you love, oh, okay. Look, here's an ID4. Dun, 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 dun. See that? I'm actually not looking at the picture. So I don't know if I can see myself doing it. But anyway, there's the ID4. So my point is like, if you don't have the 1173, you can still do it with this because, thank you, Andrew, because so many incredible plug-in companies, and we talked about it, Waves with the J37, with that tape, is amazing, absolutely amazing. Stephen Slate has loads of tape emulations and console emulations. So does Waves, of course, with SSL emulations and all kinds of, everybody has great stuff. IK Multimedia have great things. Mac DSP, you know, have all the analog channels. All of these things allow you to get close to that sound. So the reality is like, think about how many inputs do you really need. These days, if I record just a bass DI, I will duplicate the bass DI and put an amp emulation or a distortion, like a Sans amp or a lo-fi or a decapitator or an MJUC, another amazing plugin. I'll put that on the other bass side, distort it, roll off the low end, and give personality to my bass tone. Then on the DI, I'll roll off the high end and get all the low end from the bass DI. I only need one input to do that, and that's me plugging the bass in the front of my ID14 or the ID4. So there you go, and I can get an amazing bass tone, and it will be on a record, and it has been on lots of records. That's the way it works. Some of the records that you hear that I've done over the last few years were done like that. So here, the proof of the pudding. We did the drums in my 7 mic setup on quite a few albums over the last few years. If you want to listen to Fire and Water, the cover that Ace Frehley did with Paul Stanley on it, all of the drums were done here with 7 inputs. 7 inputs. The Marc Broussard stuff that I did, one of his biggest songs, is done here. It's his second biggest song after his big hit Home is a song called Perfect to Me. Go check it out, Mark Broussard. Drums were done here. Drums were done here. Go and listen to it. 7 inputs. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. It is a reality that you can do this on a home studio. Now, we know this. We're talking about home studios. So why would we want to go to larger studios? For loads of obvious reasons. Why do I go to Sunset Sound? Well, I go to Sunset Sound because I want to walk into a room where everything works, number one. That's beautiful. You go into that room, they have 2 full-time techs. Sunset Sound has 2 full-time techs. So I go into that room and everything works. And if anything does choose to break down, they swap it out immediately. Same experience I had at Blackbird a week and a half ago when we were in Nashville. We spent 3 days in Blackbird. Nothing went wrong. But if it did go wrong, it would be replaced within seconds with another one. That is the reason, one of the main reasons why you go to a proper professional studios. Now, there are professional studios hanging on by their fingertips. But the ones like Sunset and Blackbird, United, another good example, NRG, a great example, those kind of studios are very well run and they have a lot of really great equipment. And if it breaks down, they fix it immediately or they replace it immediately. That is the nature of a professional studio. So that's one big plus. Second big plus is, and this is actually should not be underestimated. I believe this really, really is important. A second big plus is the feeling you get when you go to a studio like Sunset Sound. When you go to Sunset Sound and you walk in and you go into the main lounge next to Craig's office and you look on the wall and you see every Van Halen record that you loved, like all the first 4 or 5 albums, 1 and 2 and Fair Warning and everything, and you see all of that. When you see those, when you see Zeppelin albums and Rolling Stones albums and Love Forever Changes and all of the Doors records, All My Hairs Are Standing on End, and you go into Studio 1 where most of those records, or Studio 2, or you go into Studio 3 where the Prince albums were done, where you go into those rooms and you see all of that stuff, it makes your hairs stand on end. Because that is, you know, you're in the presence of greatness. You know that those consoles, especially the microphones, were all the microphones that they used on all of those records. The console in Studio 3 has been there during the whole period of all those Prince albums. So you get to use the same equipment in the same room entirely. So it's inspiring. Does it really matter? Who the heck knows? But that's the point. It is completely inspiring. Okay, Linus has asked a great question. Due to the fact that analog emulation plugins are getting better and better, do you think that some analog gear will become obsolete at some point? Yes. Yes, yes, and yes. Because as much, at least it will become obsolete in a home or a budget studio setting. Definitely. You will still go to Blackbird and Sunset Sound and United and NRG and all the other great studios. You will still go there to mess around and play with an amazing Fairchild. You'll still go there to hear a 670. You'll still want to, you know, use U47s. And U48s, of course you will. However, they are incredibly expensive, a massive maintenance hog. But when, for home studio use, you will start looking at a lot of this equipment as not something necessary to buy, especially when it comes to, the wonderful world of mixing. Because once you're mixing, you know, we were reaching for hardware to mix. That's the first thing that is going to go. It is nice to come out of the box and use stuff just because it's fun. But hardware-wise, it's all about front end. It's all about the front end. The reason why I still reach for hardware, the reason why I still want nice mic pre's, is the front end. But, as we're pointing out, when you're coming from 7 mics on a drum kit and producing songs that are on the radio, which we've had lots of songs done with 7 mics, or no mics on a drum kit, you know what I mean? It's, the reality is, when you're coming from that world and moving into So sorry, my wife is texting me. So when you're in that world, you're going to use a lot of very limited kind of stuff. Reality is like 7 mics on a drum kit, a bit of judicious reverb, and occasionally, and sorry, Glenn, but an occasional drum sample aren't going to be able to work. It's one of those things. I think the reality is that we don't need hardware in quite the same way that we used to. However, the reason why we do like those large studios is for many, many reasons. I went to 2 of the reasons. Reason number 3 should not be underestimated. A large room, where a lot of musicians can perform together is really a great option. So everybody can be in the room, and perform and have line of sight and have a bass player looking at a drummer and grooving off each other and guitarists feeding off of that, the keyboard player, the singer, the background singer, all of that stuff, they can work together. That's another real reason for going to a large studio, going to a large professional studio. It's a great, great reason. But ultimately, most of us aren't doing that. But I think that's one of the reasons why, we talk about the way music may have been suffering recently, because there's not that interaction. Excuse me one second, I'm just going to talk. I'm on. So I think, that's the reality. What we're talking about is the situation where, you are there with your 1 or 2 input. When will you need that large room? You'll need that larger room and that facility is if you're recording live drums or if you've got people, interacting. However, those situations are few and far between. Now, touching on it, a lot of complaints about music feeling mechanical. Well, the reality is like the music that we grew up loving, at least a lot of it, a lot of classic rock, is people performing in a room together. Yes, Glenn does hate samples, Clay. So that is another reason why you want those records. Now look at guys like Dave Cobb, who are cleaning up in that world with that kind of crossover country rock kind of raw stuff. He's cleaning up in that world because he's renting a room at RCA and he's allowing musicians to play together. It's absolutely incredible, as Gregory's pointing out. So basically, live jazz. Oh, Chandler, you love the 1173? Great. That's absolutely fantastic. So if anybody's got any questions, you want to buy us lunch with the questions, that's absolutely great. My wife is still texting me. We can... after... So, you talk while you text as well? Well, we have to. That's life. Multitasking. Okay. Family first, Warren. You don't have to apologize. Thank you very much. And as Gregory said, Wife Music World Cup in that order. Exactly. Glad you love the 1173. So, you have a 2i2, worthwhile recording real drums, which you'll have with 2 mics. Adding software, or just use the software. Brian May texting. Oh, I wish. That would be absolutely amazing. So, that's a really good question with 2 inputs. Yes and no. I think that the reason why I like recording live drums is actually twofold. Firstly is the sound, not the kick and snare, generic kind of dum-da-da-da-da. I can get that generic sound with the sample. Sorry, Glenn. I can get that with Addictive. I can get that with Slate Trigger. I can get that with Easy Drummer. I can get that with Superior. Any of those forces, I can do that. That can be easily done. What I can't do is get the creativity. That's what we're talking about, Sunnybird. We're answering your question. Thank you. So so to answer that for the 2i2, the reason why I like live drums is not necessarily for the sonics. It's part of it. The energy of a drummer playing and stuff bleeding together is absolutely amazing. The wrongness, all of that is really good. Sonically, it's a fantastic thing to record live drums. Don't get me wrong. However, the number one reason why I record live drums, he retracted the question because he knew I was already answering it. Nicely done. Okay, so, classy. So, anyway, you know, yeah, why spend $5 for when somebody's already answering for free? Anyway, so who was it who did that? What's his name? Anyway, so sorry, it never ceases to amaze me, as they say. So anyway, the reality is like the main reason why I want a live drummer is actually not the sonics, as much as people are going to go against that. The main reason why I want a live drummer is through the creativity. One of the reasons why yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I can do 2 mics on the drum kit. It sounds really, really good. It's not about. Then what you're doing is you're talking about the production. Let's get to that in a second. Let's get to that discussion in a second. The main reason is why I want a live drummer is through their creativity. I want the ability to have a drummer get in a room and create. What we were talking about the other day, and we talked about this on the panel in Nashville and in many other places on one-to-one with other different producers and engineers, is when people are talking about like why they don't like modern production, well, it's because it's being driven more from one person. It's being driven from like one person, you know, doing everything. And I love being able to play drums, guitar, bass, keys, you know, acoustics, mandolin, banjo, whatever. I love the fact that I can move around playing all those different instruments. It's great, but it's only my creativity. And you know, there's all different levels of creativity. I can play a lot of those instruments, and I've been doing it for a long time, so I have a really good idea. But most of the time, given the option, I would have Tim Pierce and Blair Sinter and John Button or Sean Hurley or any one of these incredible musicians in a room. I would have Steve, we all know and love Steve, playing keys. I would have Steve doing background vocals. I would have a singer just being a singer. You know, that would be my ideal situation, because then I can go to each one of these musicians and give them advice, but let them flourish. Tell them the general direction that we're looking at, and then let them run with it and bring all of their amazing creativity. Having a bass player just being a bass player is absolutely amazing. It's a blessing, but of course it's expensive, because you're now paying 5 musicians rather than just yourself. Somebody comes to me to produce a song, the least amount of people I pay individually, the more amount of money I get to keep and pay the bills. You know, that's the reality. You know, so I think that, you know, what we need to do is like we have to be really mindful of that, if we want our music to sound unique, then that's the way we do it, you know? So I think, yes, I mean, I've done it with one mic. If you download some of our multi-tracks, we've done a lot of one mic multi-tracks, ton of one mic multi-tracks. You can download them, and the drums sound phenomenal. You can do it with 2 mics, you can do it with 1 mic. It's not just Slate that does it, it's all of us. We do this. So basically, I would highly, highly recommend that you just get creative. Now, the reality is when you're using 2 mics, if you do want to get in there for editing, it's pretty tough. You know, I would say 3 is my minimum, but of course that does kind of preclude us from using, you know, Thank you ever so much, TA. You are a classy man. Thank you. I really appreciate it for the £5. That will. I'm not going to watch any World Cup until after we finish. We're actually going straight into another thing straight after this, and we've got to work today. You know. It's yeah. So I think that. You know, I think that the reality is that creativity is king, and if you've got a drummer, you've got their creativity to use. Now, and then you just have to balance it out. If I've got two mics on a drum kit, I'm not going to get a full-blown, you know, width on the toms necessarily. I'm not going to get wide-sounding drums, so maybe I do one overhead and one in front of the kick. That can work really, really well. However, your drummer has to play balanced. If he's smashing or she's smashing the cymbals and it's all just a wash, you're not going to hear the snare. You know, it's a real reality. You know, it's very, very difficult to figure out how we're going to do that, how you're going to do that and get the best of it. Now, if you want to go for super trashy drums, like, you know, a lot of you know one of my good friends, and actually one of my best men at my wedding was Scott Schreiner, and they just put out that cover of Africa. Have you heard that? We were listening in the car. When it goes into the chorus, the verse has got this really cool washy kind of cymbal-y drums. Have you heard it? And when it goes to the chorus, they go for the cymbals, and the snare almost completely disappears. And because it was done kind of punk rock. Now, sometimes that's okay. Go listen to Weezer's cover of Africa and you'll hear what I mean. So, you know, do you want that sound? You know, there used to be in the 90s a lot of the time when they would do a lot of those like minimal mics on the drum kits, you would hear, you know, like this wash going on. So I think it's very, very important that we, you know, it's very, very important that we do this. We think about what the objective is. So if you've got a one or two mic drum set, remember that you cannot put Metallica guitars up there because you've got no way to individually push the kick and the snare. But if you're doing a really cool indie track and you want like one or two instruments around it, it's going to be amazing. Remember, Zeppelin, as much as we love them, and they were an amazing rock band, one of the greatest rock bands in the world, if not the greatest, depending on, you know, your opinion, when they were using three mics on the drum kit, they didn't have wall of Metallica guitars, going. It was one or two electric guitars maximum, bass and vocals. So and it wasn't a wall of guitars. It was riffs. It wasn't drop C. You know what I mean? It wasn't drop A guitars. So think about it logically, you know, that's why we end up with multiple mics on drums, so we can control a snare individually from the rest of the drum kit. Three mics on the drum kit is fantastic. We do it all of the time. Yes, and as J.S. Bash is saying, if you only have two channels, get a mixing board to mix the drums to stereo and record the output. That is very, very good. That is another reason why I talk about looking at some of these 80s and 90s consoles, which are going for pennies, that you can get DDA and AMEC, you know, Scorpions, etc., really super cheap in the DDA consoles. Those were, thank you, Queen. I do think Queen are the greatest rock band in the world, but I'm fine for people to think that Zeppelin is as well. It's okay. All right, Carlos is going to watch Belgium-France. So those of you who are here, and there's 345, if you would like and share, that would be absolutely amazing. And stick around, don't go, because we're going to do a giveaway now. Okay, so the oh, wonderful! Brett joined as a lifetime member. So here is here is the reality. I think we can do it. We can do it. You just have to be creative. You can get those results in a home studio. You just have to be creative. You have to work on your production skills. You have to, you know, really think about it. Ask the right questions. There is solutions for all of this. And I'm blessed that I've been doing this for many, many years, that I know how to get around it and how to get those same results. The Beatles, hands down. Yeah, I suppose I was talking like rock, you know, with a capital R, not, yeah. So, but anyway, so here are our grand prizes today. You can win the Bob and Eric courses, which is basically the production and mix course from Echo Bar. It's like over 10 hours of production. And then the Phil Allen production course. So the Bob and Eric production course and the Phil Allen production course. And the question I want to know is, I want to know what you've got. What I like about our sense of community is that we can all help each other. So what do you use? What is your I/O? What do you have? What do you use? Let us know. Is it an Audient? Is it an RME? You know, what is it? Is it an Apollo? You know, what is it? What do you use as your I/O? Let us know. Hi, Paul. So, and this is to win 2 production courses. This is the Bob and Eric Echo Bar production course with Little Empire, and also Phil Allen's production course. So let us know. Hey, Donnie, you're a lifetime member. Excellent. What do you use? I'm waiting to see. There's an Audient coming up. Emu, Apogee, Apollo, Mackie with a DBX Primo, RME, Duet, Apollo, UAD, Audient ID14, Lexicon Alpha, I don't know what that is, I have to know about that. Antelopes, I'm trying to read them, things. Lynx, Aurora, those are great. Presonus, Apogee Duet, more Presonus, UAD, Yamahas, Audient ID44. Oh, you've got one of those already. I saw a Scarlet, an RME, a Zoom, that's interesting. Akai, Behringer, Presonus, Lynx Aurora again, RME, an Apogee Duet, another Scarlet, another Presonus, Neotech, UAG, Behringer. What do you use, Earl? Yes, let us know. Sapphire, another Scarlet, Presonus, Studio Live, UR824, M Audio, Apollo, Pro 40. Linus says he's already got those courses, so he won't enter the giveaway. Good luck, everyone. Thank you, Linus. Appreciate it. Steinberg. More Focusrite, Motu. So, vlog channel, you don't have a I/O. How are you getting into recording, or aren't you? You're just building tracks. If you're using one, if you're using if you're using the card in your computer, that's also cool. Most time I'm programming. Antelope, 3 Motus, ID14. Okay, Jürgen Schuller. You want a copy of Music Production Bob Aaron and the Bob and Eric with Phil Allen and the Bob and Eric Rikers? Yay! Congratulations, Jürgen. Jürgen, what did you use? What did Jürgen use? And I see we have 188 likes with 348 people. We're going to do 2 more giveaways before the end of that. 2 more giveaways. Hey, Ralph. So please stay. Jürgen, what did you choose? What do you use? Sorry, not choose. What do you use? Thanks, everybody. So if we could increase the likes, that'd be amazing. We have 344 people watching. That's amazing. So please like and share and hang out, because we're going to do another giveaway. We're going to do 2 more giveaways before 12 o'clock. We've got 45 more minutes talking about recording. Yes, talking about recording. Home studios versus traditional studios. So you see where I'm going with this stuff. It's like, I love traditional recording studios. If we look at all of the amazing recording studios that are out there, and we talk about the studios that I use on a regular basis, as you know, thank you, 209 likes. Please, thank you, 340 people watching. If we can get that up to 340 likes, that'd be amazing. How do you win the giveaway, Michael? You just answer the question. Stay to the end. There's going to be 2 more questions. Thank you, Kyle. Excited. How do you become a lifetime member? Matt, would you put the information, please, for the lifetime membership so you can become a lifetime membership? Oh, I'm sorry that Antelope aren't supporting their products. That's frustrating. I don't use Antelope. I haven't used them. Kevin's going to see the Foo Fighters and Gretel Van Fleet. That should be fun. Do you think a recording studio will look in 20 years? Guy Dempsey, great question. Oh, you love the and Topher has the UK 1173. Only just saw this. Okay, great. Thanks, Topher. You appreciate it, my friend. So let's and please like and share, everybody. I really appreciate it. So getting back to the point. Good question. Where are they going to be? Hey, Terry, where are we going to be with traditional studios? Well, I don't think they're going to disappear entirely. Of course not. I think there's still going to be people that play the kind of music that has to be performed together in one room. That's a reality. Maybe home studios will, maybe people will get bigger home studios. But ultimately, there's always going to be a place for people to perform together. As much as you can sample every banjo, every mandolin, every singer, every drummer, every whatever, as much as you can sample that, there's something about musicians performing together in a real room. Now, does that mean that one day we'll have 4 people with laptops or, iPhones or whatever it is, like playing the mandolin off of that? I mean, who the heck knows? I don't know. There's going to be, it's definitely moving to a world where it's getting easier and easier. However, you also need the skill to know how to do it. That's why I'm saying even with 2 inputs, and as people are pointing out, even with 2 inputs, you can still record live drums, as somebody was saying, by getting like a used AMEC console or a used DDA, something affordable, and submixing your drums, emphasizing kicks and snares, panning those center, panning the toms around. Okay, so we have a question here. How important is room treatment in the room where mixing happens, not recording? Very, very important. You want to be able to deaden the room somewhat. It's a reality. It really is a reality to be able to, we're deadening the room to a situation where, it's nothing worse than being in a room that is lying to you terribly. And I've been in some studios that will remain nameless where the room lied to me really badly. And I went out into the parking lot, could not tell what was going on with a good old-fashioned CD, put it into my car, and was just blown away by how different it sounded to the room I was mixing in. There's quite a famous room in LA that is no longer there that had tons of mixing issues that Jim Scott and I talked about. And big records had been mixed down there over months and months and months, and people got used to it. So it's not just, these days, most recording studios, 99% of the ones, especially the ones that remain, their rooms are phenomenal, and you get used to them fairly quickly. So any learning curve can be done really quickly. But in a home studio environment, especially if you're in a garage, it's going to be a nightmare. A lot of people are converting garages. Well, if you've got like concrete floors and a huge, steel door or aluminum door, whatever it might be, it's going to be so many crazy reflections in there. So yes, room treatment is really, really important. A square bedroom is going to be really difficult. You're going to have to break up all of those standing waves. Even in my studio here, although it's impossible to see properly, you see a breakup against the corners of the room. There is padding inside of the walls. There is stuff done in this room. And so, there's a sofa back here, somebody's just pointing out. There's all kinds of things that are done. And we've had this room rung out. When Genelec were here, they rang out the room, and it's pretty flat. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for a guy that works in this room every day. So yes, it really is important. You can use some of the correctional things, and they will help a lot, and I highly recommend it. But remember, they are there just for listening. So just to combat your room, you can't print with them on. If you print with that EQ on, it won't translate from one room to another. It's only for listening. That's very, very important. We just went to Wayne Miller's studio, who is a great producer and engineer, a local guy here in Los Angeles, who's also a musical director for quite a few great artists, and very talented singer-songwriter as well in his own realm. and he uses correctional EQ across it. Monty Python's philosophy, football, Germany versus Greece. I got to check that out, HK. Thank you for buying us lunch. I really appreciate it. HK has brought us lunch, and it's wonderful. So, thank you. So, yes, I think it's very, very important, you know, to get your room treated as well as you can. But it's also very important, and I know this is difficult because there's lots of confusing stuff. It is important that you go to places that you know to sound good and you understand the sound of. If it means going to your car with a traditional CD that you burned or some way of listening, and you can reference CDs that you know in that car, it will give you a great feeling. I know that there's a lot of complicated stuff confusing that, but please remember that a lot of my friends that are professionals will go and sit in their car and listen to the music. They will. So when you've got people that aren't professionals telling you that you shouldn't do that, just remember that professionals do that. We do go to our car because we spend our lives in our car driving to and from our studios. And we know how music sounds in there. We're referencing demos, we're listening to our mixes, we're listening to music we love. It's not a bad idea to have other ways to reference. And if it means your car, then do it. Low end in particular has always been a big bugbear of mine. And in my car, even in the cheapest cars I had, even in my Fords, let alone expensive cars, the low end would blow up if it was bad. You know, most car hi-fis are boom and fizz. Somebody debated me that on the other day, but if you go and look at most modern car hi-fis, it's all boom and fizz because they want to combat the low rumble of the engine. So you're going to know if your kick drum is good or bad in most car hi-fis. Now, a car from the 70s is going to be mid-range and crap. A car from the 80s is going to be slightly better. But from the mid-90s on, car stereos now are usually boom and fizz. So a great way to find out whether your low end is out of control. You go in there, burn a CD, or if you're lucky to have a car that has a USB input or a 3.5 mini jack and you can take it from your phone, go in there and play it. And if the low end is blowing up, then you're in trouble. You know, and then you put on something you love and it's fine. It's a good idea to do that. But also use earbuds, use headphones that you know, go and check on your home hi-fi, all of these other things. You know, there's other ways to do this. We really do have to make this, you have to get into a room and make it as flat as possible, but you have to learn your room. Because no matter how much you do, as John McBride said, it's 50% science and 50% luck. Okay, so Earl B says, what do you think about isolating your speakers? I have some DIY stands, bought commercial isolation products for my speakers, made a difference. Yes, well, it's probably hard to tell here, but the stand that my speakers are on is part of that process. This stand is specifically bought to go on an SSL, and it has its own isolation. So it has isolation built into the stand. But also, it's hard to tell, but the Genelecs are actually sitting on isolation pads. They're on, not the Genelecs, the Unities are sitting on isolation pads, and then the Genelecs are then sitting on another rubber pad, and then the actual speaker stands they have themselves also have a rubber pad. So this has a rubber pad, then it's isolated, then it's insulated from here, then there are here another level of isolation. Of insulation, sorry, did I say isolation? Insulation. And I think that's what you meant. What do you think about insulation? Yeah, so there's like, I've got multiple levels of it going on. So yes, it is a good idea. Again, if you're going to watch Wayne's one that's going to come up in the next couple of weeks, you're going to enjoy it because it's more of like a home studio environment. He's taken like a little office space and turned it into a great little studio. So it's very typical and works very similar to what a lot of us are going to do. Bus or subway, which I don't, I mean, wherever you can listen, Adam, you know, definitely reference it. For schnitz and schnizzles, that just means for, it's giggles, and it's basically just for the heck of it. Let's do it just for the heck of it. Okay, so let us, please, first of all, can you like and share, and then we'll do another giveaway. So please like and share. I see we have 340 people watching. We have 269 likes. If you can like it and share it, that would be amazing. It lets YouTube tell the world that we're online. God bless YouTube. Okay, so stay, because we are about to do another giveaway. We're going to give away all of the Eric and Bob, that's the Eric Rikers and Bob Horn production course, and also the Phil Allen production course. And I believe the Eric and Bob one is like 10 hours long. We filmed it over 3 days. And so stick out for that. Now, what question can we ask? We found out what everybody uses for an I.O. I think I want to know this as well. I really like to know about our community, because when you're reading this, we're all seeing what each other uses. It really helps each other, and it helps me understand what you're all doing. So my next question would be, what is your main microphone? It doesn't matter if it's cheap or expensive. What is the main microphone that you all have? What is your main microphone? Is it a 57? Is it a condenser? Is it a ribbon? Is it cheap? Is it expensive? What is the main microphone that you have? Yes, JST1, you have to, hey, the rocker, you have to enter to win. So basically, just let us know. Zach fell. It's okay. So what is your main microphone that you use for recording? I see we have an SM58 came up. Aventone CV12, nice. 57 and 421. SM7, 57. My Imagination, nice. SM7B. SM57, 7B. Townsend Sphere, nice. Rode. More Rodes, lots of Rodes. MXLs. SM57, TLM 102, MXL 57, U87 57, LCT 440, SM57, condenser, NT1, SM7B, SM7B, Aston 214. And C says the Sontronics, nice. Oh, if you haven't already, enter to win the Sontronics mic as well. It's also the last day, the last hours to enter to win the Genelex. If you haven't already, subscribe to the email list, enter to win the Genelex. And Matt can put that up as well if he hasn't already. TL1 and 3, DM20. Paul Palmer. Paul Palmer, what do you use, Paul Palmer? Scarlett, Rode NT1, Samson, KSM. Oh, I like those KSM 42s. That's interesting. That was the first Slate VMS. I was expecting to see more of those, some warm audios. Who has, yes, it's still live, Seymour. You're still here. We're still here. Ron says, congrats, Paul. Sterling, Lewitt 440, Genelex would be awesome to win. Yes, please enter to win the studio monitors. There it is. So if you haven't already, go and click on that link and enter to win. It's still live, yes, as Anita said. So that's pretty awesome. Is Foley recording still relevant? Yes, it is. There's still money to be made doing that, and people do use sound libraries as well. It's both. There's never going to be an extension of Foley, because even though you can use sound libraries for some stuff, you still need to do voiceover stuff. And there's always going to be, once you're in a voiceover situation, there's always going to be room for Foley as well. It's never going to entirely disappear. But if I was in that world, I would definitely focus on voiceover work and have Foley added to it. So if somebody wanted, you know, to replace a vocal and also do a background, you can do it together. So you would be a voiceover guy or girl that also had a library and the ability to record Foley as well. That's where we're going. We're moving into a world of boutique, specialized businesses that you are going to be able to make a living and do well if you specialize in your chosen field. If you record jazz, be the best jazz recorder. If you record blues. If you want to record whatever genre it is, that's the way to do it. Best way to isolate your computer in a one-room studio. There's boxes you can buy that do it. My computer is not that loud. I don't have that much of a problem. I still have a cheese grater Mac, and it's never been that problem. If we want to do a microphone in here, it's never been that big of a problem. So unless you've got some massively noisy computer, then if you have got a massively noisy computer, then I would suggest you buy some kind of isolation box or build one. There are, you know, you can do it. I don't know which one to use, but you can. Paul Palmer, what do you use, Paul Palmer? What was Paul Palmer's mic of choice? Did I get the Neve socks yet? No, I didn't. I want them. I want the Neve socks. What is it like inside a studio? I'm not sure. Inside a studio, it's like anything. Do you grate cheese on it? No, I don't. But that's just kind of the, that's been the nickname people. And it's just a physical attribute of what it sort of looks like. Yeah, Forley is a... yeah, when it's say it rains hamburgers, how does that sound? Exactly. I think that this is something that's really, really important. Foley is an art, and I think if you specialize in voiceover and Foley and you have extensive libraries and access to it, you'll always have a job. It's never going to go away. You've got to do voiceover. And if you're a director, a film director, you're not going to just casually have a voiceover studio in your back room. It's too much of a job. There's a reality is like, things are getting easier, but not easier to a point where everybody can do 50 jobs. We can all do 40. I do 40, but I can't do 50. There's just a reality. So budgets, people lean on me to record the drums here, to record all the instruments, to do the programming, to mix and do everything. And I also songwrite with the artist. All of that stuff can be done. I try not to master. I will have to if I can, but I'd rather hire another mastering engineer to do it. That's what I do. I'd rather do that. So the console's there. I can't pick up this camera. It's up there. So, you know, but if somebody came to me and also said, you know, can you do 50 other jobs? I'm just like, I'm already doing 40 as it is. So if you can specialize and do something specific, then great. That's the way to go. So 328 watching, 302 likes. Thank you ever so much. This is absolutely amazing. Make sure I answered. Did I answer the last paid comment? Well, Paul, good to see you in the live one. Yeah, off-axis reduction takes care of computer noise. You know, it's a G5. No, not a G5. It's the cheese grater one. It's the one. It's like the last one. It's the last one they did before. They haven't made a tower since. It's the last tower they made. You know, they make the, but you know they're making a new tower. It's supposed to be out this year. Now they're talking about early next year. Yeah. So you have a 2010, and it seems really quiet, but I can still hear it, and it bugs me. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, can you remove it? ADAT Octopre, you can get 2 inputs and 10 inputs. Thank you, Scott, for answering somebody else's question. It's 85 here, but feels hotter. It must be humid. Yeah, we've been getting this kind of stuff. So we have one more giveaway to do. We can get to that in a minute. Any other like burning desire questions that we're going to do here? We're talking different mics, extension cable for a noise, you put it in another room. Well, the question was, Gautier, is like, what do you do when you only have one room to work in? You know, maybe you only have a bedroom. I think you can buy boxes for them. I'm not sure how expensive they are. You know, otherwise, you know, you could try building a little bit of isolation for the vocals. That would probably help. Super fat, high gain guitar tones. I mean, it depends. It depends on what amps you've got. I mean, each amp needs its own kind of love. I know that these days there are so many emulations that are incredible. Somebody says install a quieter fan. That might be. I'm not drinking tea. I'm drinking coffee, but I will drink PG Tips. Yes, I use the 1173 on drum mics. Let's do two things, Matt. Can you find the 1173? I might be able to find it. The 1173. 1173. What I recorded everything with one mic pre. Here it is. So what I'm doing now, guys, hopefully this posts. is I'm giving you, because people are asking me about the 1173. Amazing. Got signed out. So here's the 1173. Sorry about this. I'm looking over here, and I'll get to you in a second, Greg. Sorry about that. Here is the 1173. Can you click on that? Did that come up okay? That is me doing everything with one mic pre, including the drums. So if you want to hear what it sounds like using one mic pre, that is it there. That's including the drums. Okay, how do you deal with air conditioning? It's often hot in control rooms or just mine. Yeah, it gets like that. We go in and out of it. It's difficult. If I'm doing a really super quiet vocal, then it's going to be really, really difficult, you know, with just even the tiniest amount of air conditioning noise. Here, we're pretty good, but some rooms, it gets really, really difficult. At the moment, we got pretty good voltage. There hasn't been a drop in it. But what happens at night, at about 5 p.m., people start coming home from work, and everybody in Los Angeles turns on their air conditioning. And we get huge power dips here, like brownouts. It can be really, really bad. And then, you know, so the reality is most of the issues that we have are like 60 or below, which on a vocal is, there's not many times I want 60 hertz on a vocal. So you can usually get rid of it pretty easily. If you're a member of the Academy, I know lots of people have joined recently. If you're a member of the Academy, you can go in there and download Katie Laurel's song. It was Thanks for Loving Me, Loving Me. I think it's called Thanks for Loving Me, Loving Me. But anyway, if you can download her multi-track, and it was recorded at Harmony with the AC going crazy on a U48 actually, with a lot of gain. And you can audibly hear hum, but you can take it out with EQ and it's perfectly fine. But it's loud because we used the scratch vocal because it was fantastic. Phil was playing in the live room. She was in the doing a vocal overdub. I mean, a live vocal at the same time. I was playing guitar. He was playing drums. We put a scratch down, and we realized the drums, the acoustic guitar, and the vocal all worked together. So we didn't want to replay everything, and we ended up using the scratch vocal. Problem is, scratch vocal has tons of AC noise in it. We had a plugged-in acoustic guitar, 4 mics or 5 mics on a drum kit. You know, it was all just kind of like thrown together. But the performance was more important than the sonics. The performance was great. Her vocal sounded great. She sang her heart out on it, and there was low-end issues, so we took it out. You know, that's really kind of the reality. So I think that ultimately we... yeah, it's 1200 of Vintage King. Ultimately, you have to do what is best for the song. And sometimes that isn't always sonically the best solution. You know, if we listen to a lot of the stuff that we love, whether it be the Beatles or Motown, you know, I know there's multi-tracks flying around out there. I'm not a purveyor of them. I don't have them. But, you know, obviously you know that they exist. And if you solo a lot of that stuff, you can hear low rumbles. You can hear distortion, clipping. You can hear all of these kind of things. And that's okay because the performance won. If you can hear Marvin Gaye coming up onto a microphone and clipping it and clipping the mic pre. And I've never heard anybody go, oh, that really sucked. You know, but in this modern world, there are always going to be people that tell you that is more important than performance. It's not. You'll never find a real professional that believes, and when I say professional, it's not an expert. There's professionals are people that do this for a living and make a living out of it, which is a lot of you watching here. Those are professional. Experts aren't professionals, and vice versa. You know, the people that are telling us we're always doing it wrong are the experts. You know, the bad hair conditioning, that's me. Those are experts. Professionals are people like we just saw F. Reed Shippen. He came down and spoke to our Academy members at Blackbird Studios in Nashville for 3 hours, then hang out afterwards. It was a blessing. He came down for 3 hours and he got asked a lot of questions about mixing. And he kept pointing out, you know, because there's people with channels, you know, that are saying, look at the waveforms, look at the phase issues, but they're not talking about how it sounds. It's really naive, and unfortunately, it isn't how music is made. And he said, yes, when I used an SSL and I used to boost and cut EQ, it caused phase issues, and we liked it, and we used it to our advantage. And that is the reality, is like, yes, you do want to record really good in-phase drums. I love measuring my overheads to my snare. It works for me. I like it because I like that representation. However, when Cameron Webb records drums, he just uses it to capture cymbals. His overhead mics are to catch cymbals. He doesn't care about getting the snare and the kick perfectly in phase because he doesn't use it for that. He EQs that out. He uses the cymbals just as cymbal mics. And he gets them a long way away from the kick and the snare, so they just pick up the cymbals. He has a different philosophy. Both are professional ways of working it. Both are not the expert way of doing it. But both of them make beautiful sounding records that we all know and love. So that's the reality. You know, Glyn Johns had the 3-mic drum technique and it sounded phenomenal. But he wouldn't, and you can't use it when you've got a wall of Metallica guitars because you have no individual control of the kick and snare. And so, which is fine. But it's all about horses for courses. What is the best way to record in a given situation? That's coming back to our topic, is the difference between the home studio and the traditional studio. Is like, what do you want to do? If you want to do a 1 or 2 drum mic system, which is in that video, I'll put it up again. It's all done with 1 mic. Check it out. Oh, I have to do it over here. You know, check it out. That's the 1173. That's all done with 1 mic. And it's... you know, it's really, but I couldn't do like a death metal track on it. I have to do something that works around it, you know, or I could do a death metal track and then have the guitars super, super low and have the drums sitting over the top of them. It really depends on what you want in your mix. You know, it's just a reality. You know, you've got 20 to 20K, you've got 20 hertz to 20K, and you've got to make all of the music work in it, you know. It's difficult, you know. The reality is like it's not difficult, it's creative decisions. That's why we always push up against, you know, expert opinions on this, not producers or engineers or mixers, not the people that make the music or the musicians, but the experts outside of it that are always saying that all of these opinions are wrong. Because you need to have you want to have a large scope, a massive acquired knowledge, and then treat every song and every production on its own merits. Like, what is it you're trying to achieve? We were talking about that Weezer Africa track. If you go to the chorus, the snare's barely in there because they went for a drum sound, which you can clearly hear in the first verse, specifically where it's quite stripped down. It's very washy, very minimal miking. And then when it goes da 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 da, the Africa part, the snare kind of almost disappears because they don't have individual control of the snare. Not enough to put it above it, and they probably weren't using any drum samples or anything. So, you know, the drummer could have played softer on the cymbals, but maybe that's what they were going for. There is no right way or wrong way. But it's good to keep trying all different ideas. If you've got a 2 input or a 1 input, mic the drums. If you've got 2 input, I'd put 1 over the top to pick up the snare and the whole kit, and then 1 in front of the kit, the kick, the bass drum, and then mix that way. Or if you've got a little mini mixer, take 4, 5, 6, 7 inputs and blend them to a stereo field. So you have kick and snare, loud, overhead split, not so loud around it, tom split around it. You know, make a submix of the drums and then print it that way. There's many different things you can do. You can use multiple mics, you know, in that. David Hammond got in late. We're just talking about the differences between traditional studios and home studios. And we're coming to the summation that the reality is like drums are one of the biggest things, is having the ability to have a room to record drums is not quite so easy on home studios. However, we're getting creative with how we record drums and certain productions. My point is like if you've got a small drum room and you can get creative with it, you can have a sound. You can create a sound which is really unique as your production sound. But if you want that idea of go to a large room to have musicians interact with each other live, or you want a big drum sound, that's why you'll go to a traditional studio. Also combined with the fact that they're going to have amazing equipment, they're going to maybe have a legacy of albums that were recorded there, so it feels like when a musician walks in there, wow, they get that feeling, that storied history, all of that kind of stuff. You know, it's really, really, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, as they say. I see we have 359 people watching. Thank you ever so much. We're going to do one more last giveaway. If everybody watching, if you could please like and share, that would be absolutely amazing. Now, what question are we going to ask? This is the last question. I want to know more about you. We found out what microphone your main microphone is. We saw a lot of 57s and 58s, a lot of them. I didn't see that many VMSs, which I was surprised at. I thought there was a lot more people using VMSs. Maybe you were holding back on that. I did see a lot of audience when I asked about the IOs. I saw a lot of, saw a few Apollos. I saw more Behringers than I've seen before. So I got to see a few things that I didn't. Don't dare leave, Alex. I'm not going to leave yet. We've got another 10 or 15 minutes left. Can you reamp drums in a larger room? Yeah, you could. You need a speaker and a microphone, or a pair of microphones for stereo. Of course you can. You could take the drums, you can output them, put a pair of speakers in a room, and then do it. If you have a 1173, would you crawl 7 drum mics interface, then reroute back into 1176 one at a time? 1173 one at a time? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could use hardware to come back in and do stuff like that. Definitely, I just don't think that's the best use of your time. Yeah, you can definitely do an entire album with a 2020, 80-20-20. Those are great mics, the Audio-Technicas. You can do a whole, hey, 67 Stu, you're back. You're big, you're bad in the back. I haven't seen you around for a little bit. So I think that ultimately, yes, you can. But remember when you're recording, you know, a 57. The Shins did their first album with a 57 and a VSA 80. And it's not necessarily the best sounding record, but it's super creative and it did really well and it had amazing songs. Do you have to be an Academy member to enter the contest? No, you don't. This contest, this dude looks exactly like Warren Huart. This is crazy. Yes, I am Warren Huart. Crazy. Anyway, what can we do for our last question? We found out what microphones you use. We found out what I/O you use. I suppose I've asked this before, but I think it's pertinent to have this discussion. I know I've asked it before, but I think we're talking about the last piece. And what is the last piece? One microphone, one I/O. What DAW do you use? What DAW do you use? Let us know. I like that 1176 emulation. It's good. The IK Multimedia, it's great. What DAW do you use? Let us know what DAW do you use. So, yeah, it's wonderful. Please like and share. There's 371 of you there, so it's a randomly picked by Matt. But I want to know, what shampoo do I use? I have no idea. Whatever my wife has bought. I am Warren Huart and I'm crazy. Maybe I am, yes. So, what DAW do you use? Pro Tools, Logic, Reaper, Audition, Adobe, more Pro Tools, more Logic, Reaper, Cubase, Reaper, Cubase, Pro Tools, Reaper, Ableton, Logic, Reason. Matt, let this go for a few minutes, please, Matt. I want to get everybody here. Let's not jump on it too quickly. Studio One, Logic. Want everybody to have a chance to win this. Cakewalk, Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, Mixbus, Reaper, Logic, Harrison Mixbus, more Studio One, Cubase, Cakewalk, Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, Reaper, Ableton. Oh, you're creating your own DAW. Great. Studio One, Mixcraft, Digital Performer, Reaper, Mixbus, Reaper. Studio One, Reaper, Logic, Mixcraft, 8 Pro, Ableton, more Logic, Ampex, MM1100. Nice, Zach. What, if those of you just tuned in, what DAW do you use? Bitwig, Studio One, Digital Performer, DAW, Babies First, DAW, Fruity Loops. Yeah, I haven't seen any FL Studios. Are there any FL Studio users here? Cubase, Logic, Pro Tools, Studio One, Reaper. There's an FL Studio, Logic, Cakewalk, Studio One, more Pro Tools. Hello there, Stephen. Just welcome to Indiana. Reaper, Sonar, Cubase, Logic Pro X, Pro Tools H12s. A bit late. I'll watch the replay. Studio One, Oriya Pro, Pro Tools, Reaper, Buzz. I don't know what that is. Strawberry Reaper Forever, Cakewalk Reaper. I think we got everybody. Anybody else? Please let us know. And then Matt's going to randomly choose some. Why do most big studios use Pro Tools? It was the first audio editor that really made sense. And I think what it is we all loved the capabilities of like Cubase early on. And, you know, there was a lot, Nuendo was fantastic. There was a lot of really, really good, amazing software, DAWs that, especially in the early days, all the Steinberg products were incredible for using, you know, MIDI and integrating stuff. All right, Frame Junkie, yay! Frame Junkie, what do you use, Frame Junkie? What do you use? More Studio One, more Pro Tools. Buzz is like Renoise, okay. Frame Junkie, what do you use? Yeah, it was Sound Tools originally. So basically, a lot of people, it was just the first really good audio editing. It wasn't that, you know, Dave Sardi said to me, and this is his theory, and I sort of understand where he's coming from. He said the best Pro Tools engineers aren't keyboard players, they're guitarists. And the reason for that was, the reason why he said that when we started working together in the early 2000s, and I was a Pro Tools editor with him. So I edited quite a few records, you know, just doing Pro Tools editing. And I know what it was like to sit there for 12 hours a day editing tracks that weren't cut to a click, that were all done live. So trust me, I got baptism of fire with Pro Tools really early on. And I've made a lot of records that way. So the way that worked for me, please like and share, by the way. I see there's 381 people on. Please like and share. 366 likes. We hit the 400. That'd be amazing. Anyway, I think the reality when it comes to Pro Tools was the fact that, you know, like I was saying, with guitar players, it was the first time that guitar players, we felt like we could be sort of level with all of you lovely keyboard players that could use MIDI. Because we couldn't sit there and copy and paste information along and around like you can in MIDI. You guys were so far ahead of us. You were able to like take a chorus and tighten it and then fly it around in MIDI. It was amazing what you could do. You could do drum programming in MIDI and then copy it around. And us poor guitar players, we just had to play to tape. Then Pro Tools came along with the first really good audio editing. So it was more about, and as I said, Sound Tools was first. It was all about getting in there first and being intuitive. And it was intuitive. It was definitely intuitive. So for audio editing. However, at first, as many Pro Tools users would say, is that it wasn't good with the MIDI. So it was kind of ahead on audio, but not as good with the MIDI. Now, of course, it's sort of a combo platter. You can do really good MIDI in Pro Tools, as well as good audio editing. And then other DAWs that were much better on MIDI have caught up with audio editing. So it's a pretty level playing field now. It just really comes down to workflow, what you prefer, and what you started on. But I do know with a lot of places now, they're teaching all of them. Studio One, Reaper, as well as Pro Tools. It used to be only Pro Tools that was being taught in, you know, major schools and stuff like that. But now they're kind of getting into all of it. So I think even though I'm a Pro Tools user and I do use Logic for building, you know, for doing virtual instruments, I do know that I'm not going to start again and learn a new DAW. It's not going to happen. I've been doing this too long. I'm not going to start again. However, I would say if you're starting from scratch, you have a lot of options. You know, you really do. So we've got 384 likes. Can we get it to over 400? If you haven't liked and shared, please do. That'd be absolutely amazing. Paul Ramsey says there's Logic X, Logic 9, Pro Tools 10, 11, Ableton Live, but he used Logic. Nice. Reaper is really popular now, Logic X. Hey Grunge Kid, Hell Ilpai, Reaper, is Reaper free? I don't know. Maybe we can answer that between us here. This has been really amazing. We have 5 more minutes here. I don't know which DAW sounds the best. I've never done a comparison. I've mixed on Pro Tools, been sent tracks from every single DAW you can send, and I have not thought that anything was better or any worse. That's a good question. That's a really, really good question. Should everyone learn Pro Tools as a second DAW? That's a really, really good question. I mean, a part of me thinks that if you are going to learn another DAW, you haven't missed the deal. Oh, by the way, if you want to join the Academy for $99 or buy a lifetime membership for $297, Matt is now going to put those up. He's going to put them up now for us. You can join the Academy. The reality is yes. It is only $99, and I don't know if you heard, but we are now doing endorsements through WB Gear. So what that means is you can get strings, guitars, amplifiers, and all kinds of stuff for up to 50% off retail price, as though you were, and you will now be endorsed as an Academy member. Just the same way you could be endorsed as a musician. It's pretty amazing. You're getting the same kind of deals that guitar players and bass players in huge bands get. But you have to join the Academy to get it. But at $99 or $297 for a lifetime membership, you could effectively go out and buy a few $100s worth of strings to last you for the rest of your frickin' life and get your $99 back immediately. You could buy an amp and get over $99 saved. It is insane. There's so many musicians here. That want to be producers and engineers like me. I'm a guitar player. Look, I'm really a guitar player. Look, this is the truth. This is what I do. I haven't played guitar in 4 days. I went away. See, I'm a guitar player. So my point is like, I got into production because my favorite band, singular, my favorite band was Queen. And listening to A Night at the Opera, it is a masterpiece of production. Absolutely. Tim, your yearly subscription does get renewed automatically. You can opt out of doing that. You can write to us, whatever you want. If you don't want it to do it automatically, it's really up to you. And if you want to upgrade to the yearly, you can write to Matt at support, and I'm sure he will. He's listening. I'm sure he will take the 1 year you've bought off the price and let you do the yearly. Oh, I can see myself on there. Oh, thank you. We're over 400 likes. That's amazing. Guitar player with bad legs. Yes, that's me. No talking and shredding. So what do you want me to do? Shred or talk? Yes, Death on Two Legs is definitely the best intro for a song ever. What was my first guitar? It was one my dad built for me. It was stolen. It was stolen. So if you want to join the Academy, Matt, is there a page that we can show people why it is so amazing to join the Academy and get all of that deal on all of the WB gear? And what all the gear is and what kind of deals they can get, and they can become endorsed. Is there something you can put up there before we go? It's 11:59. Can I play a Queen solo? Oh, that would be sacrilege. It's interesting. That God, I can't remember any Simon and Garfunkel. It's amazing when you put on the spot, you know, that you can't remember stuff. Going to Neil Young. Great, Carl. I was born in England. Can't you tell from my accent? Matt says the page is coming. Yes, Stu, that's right. My dad built the first guitar. And Brian May's, and that's why, because I wanted to be Brian May. Do I know any Nick Drake? Warren DeMiola? I don't know. Val DeMiola's right-hand technique is absolutely phenomenal, you know. Oh, David, that's so kind of you. I don't think I'm playing fast at the moment because, thanks, Alex, just basically because the reality is that I didn't start playing guitar till I was 15. I started quite a lot later than my friends. But basically, by the time I was 17, I had to be better than everybody else. I'm obsessional about things. If I want to be good at something, I just practice a lot. How long have I been in the States? 22 years. And I do practice scales with metronome. Thanks, Ron. Great to see you here. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the road. You were 15 when you started too. This has been absolutely amazing. 415 likes, 335 people watching. Absolutely amazing. Practice does make perfect. I like that phrase, but I'm not into perfect. Again, perfection is what experts are looking for. We're not looking for perfect, we're looking for greatness. And perfection and greatness are not the same thing. One string solo. These are sonotones, yeah. Nice, Stu. 417 likes. You rock. Thank you, everybody. Well, there's more great stuff coming up. We're actually going to be streaming some cool courses. Tomorrow, don't forget to tune in tomorrow. Go to YouTube tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to have up the video for the mixing competition. So there's going to be a mixing contest with the In the Mix guys, with Michael and Brad. It's going to be phenomenal. And the prizes are absolutely amazing. There's 3 sets of prizes. Absolutely amazing. And we're going to have an end date and a winner announcement date. So there's going to be no issues about how many months it's going to take to judge it like every other thing that we've ever tried to do. So it's going to be absolutely wonderful. Thank you, everybody. If you're not an Academy member already, please join. You'll notice that you can get this endorsement through WB Gear. You can get 30 multi-tracks if you download for at least a year, if you join for at least a year. The community is incredible. It's growing really rapidly. Thank you ever so much. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. We've done an hour and 34 minutes. This was a good one. This has been absolutely amazing. 424 likes. 322 people still watching. I'd like to stream Ace Frehley. We'll have to see whether he's up for that. All right. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing, everybody. I really, really appreciate everybody's help. And everybody's support. Please like and share before we go. Help everybody know that we did this. It's absolutely amazing. Don't forget to check out. Thank you very much, Alex. I really appreciate it. Thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I heard that you can do Pro Tools shortcuts in Studio One. That's great. I know a very famous producer that changed because of that. Have a marvelous day, everybody. Have a truly marvelous day. Speak to you all again very, very soon. Sehr gut. Ja, wie geht's dir? Okay. Have a marvelous day, and I'll speak to you all again very, very soon. Don't forget, tomorrow, check out the video tomorrow. Go and like it, go and share it, go and enter the mix competition. Download that tomorrow. Check it out. Okay.